Hey, Linda Ipaye here with the Real Estate Shop,
I'm sorry, Linda.
That's okay, along with Dr. Michael Bittner to talk about Feng Shui.
And I'm from ZenSpot. So,
Yes, thank you. So today we've been mulling over what we wanted to talk about and realized we hadn't talked about the different elements. There's water, earth,
metal,
fire,
and wood.
Yes. So let's talk about those.
All right. And all of those elements make up everything that exists.
Yeah.
And so we typically think about them from starting with wood, flowing to fire, and then to earth, and then to metal, and then to water, and then back to wood again. So there's two cycles. There's a creative or a nurturing cycle, and then there is a controlling cycle. Or sometimes people say a destructive one, but it's probably nicer to say controlling. But anyway, the point being that in these two cycles, one moves around the outside and the other one moves across. So if you think one kind of forms, well, I shouldn't say kind of, one forms a circle, and the other one forms a star, a pentagon. If you think about the crossing.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
And so, for instance, wood, which is associated with spring, with birth, gives rise then to fire, and fire gives rise to earth, and earth gives rise to metal, and metal gives rise to water. And so when I say gives rise to, there are actually other terms that are associated with this, but that just to give you a sense of the nurturing. And then we think about, well, what cuts wood? We would say metal.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
And fire melts metal. And water puts out fire. And wood consumes earth. And earth dams water. So that's the control cycle right there.
That totally makes sense.
So you think, so now we have the sense that all five of these are interrelated in different ways. So that's the yin and the yang at work. Nurturing and controlling, and then at the same time, always trying to find balance.
Right, yeah, and we've said that before. You don't want to have excess, and you don't want to not have enough. You want to find that middle road, that middle path in everything.
In everything. And so every environment, home environment, our bodies, they all need to have a balance of these five elements. And so this is one of the things, as we develop our own awareness of what's going on and our sense about what feels right, then we're usually coming into step with the presence of these five elements in a healthy way.
Yeah.
So if you have an environment that is overwhelmingly red, then you have a fiery environment. Now, and it isn't just red, the color, because it could be, for instance, you have a lot of pets or a lot of family members. They're also associated with fire. So there's a lot of energy there. So then, well, how do you control it? You introduce more of a water element.
Oh, that makes sense.
So maybe you want more windows, or you use darker colors like blues and black.
Are those on the opposite side of the color spectrum?
Well, they would be. So if we think about the color spectrum, and that's an interesting one, because first of all, I always like to point out that the color white, of course, is a reflection of all colors, and the color black is all colors. So those in and of themselves kind of create somewhat confusion. But if we talk about the primary colors, then we can start to see the differences there. And then this takes us into the whole notion of color schemes, because we can have color schemes that are complementary. We can have monochromatic color schemes. We can have color schemes that are opposite one another. So we can have primary color. I mean, so you can start to see all of these different things that can be done. But one of the interesting things to keep in mind is that in nature, all colors are present. And they intermingle. And they do so in a healthy, interesting way. And as humans, we often skew this and manipulate it in a way that is not reflective of the positive energy that nature presents.
So before we said in one of our snippets that what water represents. So what does fire represent?
So fire represents, well, let's associate with the organs to start with. We can talk about fires associated with the heart, so the pumping of blood, the color of red, heat, the direction of south. Fire, it can be associated with being angry, frustrated, overly, how should we say, overly passionate. Those kinds of things. But it can also be seen as being peaceful and calm and in step with things. So fire. So remember, fire's consuming. So we have to be. So we want to think about this in these ways: that if fire is out of control, then it is obviously running amok and causing problems. But if fire is contained and in a balanced way, like warming and heating, and just providing sort of, how do I want to say this? Enough energy, energy. Because really, at the end of the day, let's think about digestion. Fire is about digestion, right? So if we think about that, we don't want a digestion that is over the top, because then we have acid indigestion and reflux and heartburn. Sense. Whereas if we have one that is not functioning appropriately, then we're stagnated and we might be constipated, and we're, the toxins are building up. So the fire has to be operating, and that's the balance. That's the steadiness and sort of the heat that's nurturing that's in us.
Yeah, again, that middle road.
That's right.
Not too much, and if you don't have enough. So is it too much if you paint your bedroom all red?
Yes, because it's probably overly... in fact, yes. Let me just put it this way. Yes, it is too much.
Yeah.
You can accent with red, or you could use red in maybe subtle forms. But the thing is with red, because of the ideas of being associated with passion, and also with, it could be associated with, just the fiery temperament, with anger and things like that.
Right.
Too much red is actually a problem. Now, red is also associated with fame and fortune. So we want to think about that. When we start to think about more love and that, then we think about pink, and we think about variations on that.
Yeah.
And red takes us into the realm of really fame and fortune. And so it's very positive in that regard. But so don't paint the bedroom red.
Yeah, because you do want to sleep, peaceful sleep in your bedroom.
That's it.
And so
there can be a romantic dimension to the bedroom, absolutely.
Aspects,
But the thing is that, as Linda just said, it should be a calming, peaceful, nurturing place. And red is not really the color for that. Think of a fire engine that's really red. Like, oh my gosh.
Emergency, get out of the way. Oh.
And, right, out of the way. And it's funny because, maybe the fire engine shouldn't be red, because, the fire is red and orange. And so, in a way, it's like heightening the excitement around a fire when you have a red fire truck with red lights and all those things show up. So
well, good. Well, next time we'll talk more about the elements. So this is Linda Ipaye with the Real Estate Shop, and Dr. Michael Bittner with ZenSpot. So if you got questions, put them up there, and we can address those when we have another chat.
All right. Thank you all again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.